Haha, dear viewers, I have deceived you. This is a spoiler prevention video. For those of you that have watched through all of the videos prior to this, well, you know how it turns out, and this keeps people from expecting it. Uh, but I thought I'd talk about a few things in case you just want to hear me ramble for a couple of minutes, since you came this far anyway. Um, this will probably be. I'll probably take a few days off in between these Let's Play videos, just because if we got pretty far. We got through a lot of the layer, through a lot of the Orcish mines, uh, and the game is hard. I mean, if you play it for too long in one sitting, you start to miss things. You start to get tired, and I think that's what happened to me. I became more and more reckless. On the other hand, it wasn't like I threw my life away. There was a method to my madness. We had not yet found a source of poison resistance, and the Orcish mines have a lot of chances to find, especially armor, that can contain the poison resistance ego. And then there are the shops at the end, which may contain something with poison resistance, and we really, really needed that resistance to do either of the branches that were available to us in the layer. And I'd really even want them before layer 7 and 8 in case we end up with a snake-heavy ending. Or other poisonous beasts, swamp dragons or some such. Without that, we couldn't really continue. We could have gone a little bit deeper in the dungeon, and maybe should have before we stepped down onto Orc 4. I think I got a little bit greedy over. Oh, it was that labyrinth that was what I rushed into, and that room right before it. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't the worst call. Labyrinths have a lot of treasure at the end that would have really helped us out with maybe the resistances, maybe with killing the really tough orcs on Orc 4. Although I think we would have put that off and done the bottom of the layer first. Or maybe the swamps even without poison resistance and just take our chances. Because if you bump into like Saint Roka or one of the other unique orcs, in addition to all the priests, which can smite you from all over the place, and we had no arrows, and it was a mess. I was also hoping. I don't think there are usually a whole lot of bowmen in the Orcish mines, but still, finding some more arrows would have been nice. Okawaru didn't feel like he helped us all that much that run. I might have been better off served with another god. Maybe I should have gone with Fedas Madash, the plant god. Because she would have let us, I think, summon plants and shoot through plants and stuff. So we would have had a lot of ways to screen away those melee monsters, including the Minotaur there right at the end. So I hope you enjoyed this set of videos. Please, please, please leave in the comments any suggestions if I went too fast or too slow. I think the next video I'll try and spend a little less time explaining how the game works and do a little bit more of a color commentary. Maybe try and describe the adventurers delve into the dungeon from their point of view, sort of a storytelling aspect to it. But I really do like talking about the mechanics. I think there's always more that you can know about this game. There's no like maximum spoiler level. The more you learn about this game, I think the more fun it is to play, because you can get further and further. Like I would love to get to be good enough at this game to do a 15 rune run to get everything that the game has to offer. And I've gotten fairly close. I got fairly close with a few characters, and maybe in a future video I'll pull up the morgue and take you through some of them. Characters that could have won with 3 runes, that already had 3 runes, in fact, that I chose to try and do some of the riskier things in the game with, like venture into the vestibule of hell and beyond. I think I went into Tartarus, perhaps, or maybe it was Gehenna, and perished there with one of my characters. I tried out Pandemonium, which was really interesting for a very brief period of time. But Well, not so brief. I got a few layers in, and then was just swarmed by demons that I could not handle. I think I ran out of. I think I was running low on escape methods, escape buttons, and so I delved into Pandemonium to try and find some to use in the final levels of Zot, um, and was slain instead. So there are only a few things in this game that I haven't tried. Um, the Crypt and the Tomb being two of them. I forget which one is the more difficult one. One is found inside the other. I think the Crypt is first, and it's still very difficult, but the Tomb is arguably the hardest thing in the game. Both of them are full of undead, very powerful undead spellcasters and warriors, etc. And some really weird enemies like flying skulls and zombie toes and just strange stuff that before you encounter it, you have no clue what it does unless you've looked it up specifically. And you kind of have to look up everything specifically because there's some really odd effects like teleportation or just powerful damage effects or paralyzation that you really need to be prepared for because sometimes you'll see one monster and think, oh, I can fight that. And you see another monster and say, oh, well, I'm almost done with this one. And next thing you know, you are dead with no recourse. The other thing that I don't believe I've tried is a ziggurat. Ziggurats are randomly spawned. I believe that every game has one entrance, though I do not know for certain. And they require a very hefty gold cost to enter. So you either have to sort of start saving from the very beginning of the game, including the Orcish mines and other sources of quick cash. You have to save all of that to pay. It's like 4,000 gold or something to enter. Although it is possible they've changed it to, say, a specific item to get in. That's the way that treasure troves work. But inside a ziggurat is just wave after wave after wave after wave after wave of really, really, really powerful enemies. They just do not stop coming. And now that I think about it, I may have ventured into one once and died or something. But they are not for the faint of heart. They are extremely deadly to a character with any equipment. You could have an optimal combination of artifact equipment and spells and just be as powerful as the game will let you be and still perish in a ziggurat with some regularity. That is what I have heard from other crawlers and what I've read on the crawl wiki. Maybe someday we'll try it. Some of these characters down here have some potential. Lately I've been experimenting with Draconians. I got 2 modeled in a row, which kind of frustrated me. And then I got a Gray, which I believe perished. He was kind of cool, but I became overconfident. And this level 5 I have not yet raised to level 7 and matured into its color. But I have high hopes for Bonsai Joe. There's Boob Hammer. I wasn't sure. I'm not sure what mood I was in when I named Boob Hammer, but he's actually a fairly powerful character. He's a wanderer, which just gives you like a random starting set of stats and appropriate weapons, and sometimes a spellbook. I don't think he started with a spellbook. I think I just wanted a quick run just to sort of clear my head, and it turned into a really good character. I think he's kind of low on consumables, but is fairly strong in the equipment department. There's also Smorgasbord, who is a Demonspawn fighter of Okawaru. I really like Demonspawn. The added element of the random mutations, I think, helps keep the game really fresh. And it's kind of challenging because they're not particularly good at any one thing. So they're a little bit adaptable, if slow to level. And they can just do some really cool things at interesting points of the game that sort of break up the normal stalls like we hit in that game. I felt like we were kind of stalled out. And if we had obtained a few extra levels of our mutations, if on a few of our level ups we had, if we had gotten, say, our tier 3 mutation earlier, that would have been incredibly helpful. Also, just little things like if we had gotten green scales instead of black and gotten 3 levels of that, we would have been resistant to poison, and we could have proceeded to the snake pits and the swamp without fear. Um, so it can let you down, but it's a random element that really is fun. And then this guy Sneerk um, is my experiment with Dithmengos, the something god, um, jumping around in shadows and putting things to sleep in order to stab them. I feel like stabbing is harder to do now than in previous versions. I don't know if that's unique to 0.14 or if it was 0.13 and I just hadn't played many stabbers on 0.13. I stuck to fighters mostly. I was playing around with ways to build them at that time. And prior to that, I hadn't played since like 0.08 or something, and things were very, very different then. Stabbing was an actual skill that you had to put points into. Now it is a combination of your stealth and the relevant weapon skill, which you generally want to be short blades, so you can use daggers, which have the highest stabbing bonus. Um, and yeah, so now it's a function of the average of those two skills. And as much as I try, I feel like being stealthy is much more difficult now than it used to be. It used to be when you got to a certain point as a Spriggan Enchanter, I think before even level 16, you were basically unseeable by anything. You were so stealthy that you could run around and stab everything or avoid everything as need be, all the way down to the Orb of Zot, including the Guardians, and manage to sneak your way out. You still had to be level 20, 25, but you could do it faster than most other characters. It was considered a very easy race background combination to play. But I think it's gotten harder, and maybe rightfully so. While it's fun to have kind of broken combinations, I like to see them sort of emerge as new races come out, rather than keep them for too long on existing race class combinations. Because Spriggan Enchanters are still very effective. I mean, Spriggans are great for anybody that likes to play a more subtle type of game where you sort of dash in and out of battle and stab things and ensorcel them and whatnot. And that is a whole lot of fun, even without being able to just dash down to the bottom and back out. Not that I ever managed that, but it is doable. You can look up, I think, if you Google the Dungeon Crawl speed run, one of the examples is of a Spriggan Enchanter from one of the much earlier Trunk versions. The reason why I keep saying Trunk, by the way, is it's sort of the base code. The web version updates regularly. They add changes all the time, and it can be new, from hour to hour. Each time you log on is a new experience, but still generally within the realm of the prior Trunk, the prior core set of changes, the ones that you download. So there is Dungeon Crawl Stone Soup. I hope you enjoyed it. I will probably do another one. I will probably not be a Demonspawn hunter. I will probably try out a caster class, since that is something that we got to experiment a little bit with this time, but not very effectively, I felt. I don't feel like the power of magic was aptly demonstrated by either the spells we had access to or my proficiency with them. I have spent more time with the boom boom conjurer types than I have with the utility avoidance types like we were turning out to be, which is very, very strong and actually probably a better route to go for ultimate survivability. But I just like having a very explosive panic button when needed, like a really powerful spell or something like that, tucked in my back pocket. So I think I'll go ahead and end this video here. It's long enough that it looks like I may have added another episode after that last one, with the unfortunate end of the judge. He was caught up in a maze of red tape. I don't think that's how he actually went out of office. I think he probably retired or died in office. That's generally what judges do. And good for them. So, with the wisdom that we learned from Billing's Learned Hand, I wish you good luck in your next dive through Dungeon Crawl Stone Soup.